Oh, good. So what will happen is you have your clicker and you just turn it on, and then we'll put up the question up here. I will read it. You select your answer and hit send. Those are the only two buttons, the three buttons you need. On, and then press one of the buttons and then hit send. If you decline to answer any question, if you don't want to answer one or it's not relevant to you, you just don't hit any of the buttons. If you're having problems or would like to complete the poll and the clicker's not working or you don't want to do this, we have people around who will bring you the paper and pencil one too. All responses are anonymous. There's nothing attached to this. As you saw, we gave them out randomly, and this is totally optional. So, are we ready? All right, so I'm going to read the question. I'm going to go quiet, and I'll give you a chance. So here we go. Oh, skip fun question. We didn't have one. Make it up.
Here we go.
Make up your fun question, A. Okay. Where in Portland do you live? Press A for north, B for northeast, C for northwest, D for southeast, E for southwest. When you're finished, if you just look up, it'll give me a chance to know that we're all done. It's closed?
Uh-oh. Sorry, guys.
Wait, it's going to open any second now. Try it now. Or
No?
no? Is it working?
No.
Help.
It's green, right?
Start, stop pulling.
Does that work?
Now try it. Is it working? Yay, I got a thumbs up. Yay. Oh.
It should be open.
Did you hit send?
The letter that appears on their screen is their answer. Oh, I see. Let's. Yeah, I mean, you can say we have 53 responses.
Okay, we have 55 responses so far.
What do we? We'll hit the graph.
Let's hit the graph. This one can be a practice one. We're still learning.
So
Well, yeah, okay, go ahead.
And then advance to the next layer.
I heard that. Somebody says it's like a crosswalk.
Okay, and then did you go ahead to 6? And then hit the graph.
Oops.
Sorry, go back.
Wait, don't read it. It's not until next one.
There we go. So you need to bring it over.
Okay, we don't have the graph. Oh, there it is. It's not up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to try one more and then maybe where we just want to. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're going to learn. We're going to get to this next time. It's previews of coming attractions. Yeah. Thank you. So at this point, we'd like to officially open the meeting, and Mayor Wheeler will begin.
Ouch. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. And I just want to, first of all, thank you for taking an interest in the city's budget and the budget process. I want to thank you for making the effort to come here to this location tonight. And hopefully we'll have the maximum amount of time for people to be able to give public testimony. I want to just briefly outline the evening. There is a legal structure and legal requirements to this meeting, so some of it is going to be pro forma. We're going to start with the public hearing around Prosper Portland, which is our economic development agency in our city. We will then move on to the budget message. I'm required by law to give a public recitation of my budget message. That shouldn't take more than about 5-ish, 6-ish minutes, and then we'll get to the Q&A, which is the main reason that you're all here. So first of all, the Prosper Portland budget. We're now convened as the Prosper Portland Budget Committee. Could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mayor Wheeler,
Here.
Commissioner Udaly,
Here.
Commissioner Fish,
Here.
Commissioner Fritz,
Here.
Commissioner Hardesty.
Here.
All right, so we'll take testimony on the Prosper Portland budget.
So let me give a little bit of background before we do that. And first, you're going to come over, yes. So, yes, let me just do a couple of notes here. The goal of the evening is that community members share insight with council and each other. A little bit of something that might be important, bathrooms are outside, straight out that door to the hall. And we will be taking your testimony, additional opportunities. This will be by lottery. If you are not heard tonight, you can also submit online testimony. There are comment cards located at the information tables, and you are also invited to share your thoughts with the community and city leaders on sticky notes, and you can tweet to CBO at PDX, at hashtag PDXBudget. Before we start, again, I'd like to review the shared agreements, and that is that everyone has a right to share their views respectfully. It will be easier for all of us to be heard and for the commissioners and the mayor to understand if we share our views respectfully. And the second one, everyone has a right to feel safe. Often we want to show our feelings about this, and it really helps if we do it silently so that we can get a visual of what's going on. If you are a lobbyist, would you please declare that when you begin to speak? Again, the task for the evening is to provide testimony to decision makers to inform this budget and future budgets. And before we start, I'd like to invite Jessica Kennard to come up and give a little bit of background.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. I have a very, very brief PowerPoint presentation. If we could pull that up, please, that would be fantastic. I'm just here to provide a little bit of budget context information to help inform and empower your engagement tonight and in the future. Again, my name is Jessica Kennard. I'm the interim city budget director. So the city is organized into 28 bureaus that we put into sort of major service areas. Those services include transportation services, which includes things like managing the right-of-way, public safety services, which includes our police force, our firefighters, our 911 call-taking system, and emergency management, community development, which is a broad category that includes things like housing and homeless services, permitting, planning, sustainability services, and others. Utilities include our sewer and our stormwater system, as well as our water system, and then, of course, parks and recreation. Additionally, we have a number of sort of back office support functions that make sure that all of the frontline services run smoothly. We are one of many players providing quality services to Portlanders. We partner with our other jurisdictions to provide sort of a comprehensive suite of services to you all. We partner with the county, and for Portland, we actually have 3 counties we work with, Washington, Clark, and Multnomah, and they provide human services, public health, sheriff services, libraries, among other services. TriMed provides, bus, light rail, commuter rail, metro plans for the future region, and provides regional parks and venues, and of course the zoo, which we're close to right now. When we talk about the budget, so right now the mayor's proposed budget totals $4.4 billion, and that's net of internal transfers. But really what we talk about a lot of the times when we have these budget hearings are what we consider our discretionary resources. As you can see in this graph, the vast majority of city resources of those $4.4 billion is dedicated. And that means for things when you pay your sewer and your water bill, we can't just take those resources and spend them on whatever we like. We have to spend those resources on things that support those systems that you paid that money for. So when we have these conversations, this is just to show you we're talking about kind of a small piece of the pie typically, and that is this 12%, what that we call general fund discretionary. When you look at the general fund discretionary and how it's allocated in our budget, most of it's allocated towards our public safety services. So again, this is our police, our firefighters, our 911 call-taking system. We also provide a notable amount of discretionary resources towards our parks and recreation services and community development services. This last fall, bureaus with discretionary resources were told to build their budget with 1% fewer resources. What's important to know is that every year bureaus also receive additional inflationary increases. So in a real sense, every bureau received more resources, but they did receive 1% fewer resources than what they would have otherwise received. Separate from this guidance, as I think many of you are well aware, the Parks Bureau is experiencing a structural budget deficit of around $6.3 million, and that is part of what's being wrestled with right now with the budget process. So we have we divide our resources into two types. When we expect resources to be around for 5 years or longer, we call those resources ongoing resources, and they can be dedicated to ongoing services and programs. So this year, the city economists forecast $2.4 million in available excess ongoing resources to put towards new ongoing programs. When we don't anticipate resources when they're available in the near term, but we don't anticipate them to be available for longer periods, we call these resources one-time things, and the City Budget Office typically advises that we spend those things on one-time costs, like maintaining certain assets. And so we have about $18.4 million forecasted in one-time resources. The budget process lasts many months. We are here after the mayor's proposed budget. The next step is for council to hear your feedback and then make decisions about the approved budget. They will have a work session on May 14th, next Tuesday, and then they will hear the approved budget on May 22nd. So finally, if you have any questions, I encourage you to go to our website, poke around. We've got a lot of great information there. You can email citybudgetoffice@portlandorgan.gov. Additionally, we have some of our fantastic community canvassers here. We have gone live with our community insights survey. We are going to use the information collected from this survey across the city over the next 3 weeks to help inform our budget and our priorities and our programs from a citywide lens going forward. So I really encourage you to check that out either online or with one of the fantastic folks wearing, there are blue shirts for parks as well, but the community survey blue shirts are the ones that have the survey. All right, with that, I will turn it back over to Francis.
Thank you, Jessica. Now we will begin the public testimony. And this is the way, this is the process. Numbers are drawn randomly. We'll call 6 numbers at a time. When you hear your number, please come and be seated at one of the microphones. There will be 2 minutes for testimony, and staff will be, actually Kia will be holding up the sign when 1 minute is passed, and then a sign that says time. Again, a reminder of our shared agreements. Everyone has a right to share their views respectfully, and everyone has a right to feel safe. And again, if you do not get called, remember there's online testimony submission, comment cards, sticky notes, and CBO at #PDX.budget, or PDXbudget. I want to put a dot on everything these days. So first numbers, 1226994. That's 1226994. 1227010. 1227025. 1227025. I don't think I read this one twice. 1227010. 1227008. 1227000. 1226892. Okay, and we'll start here.
And Francis, just to make sure, this is testimony on Prosper Portland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good, thank
That's
you.
what I was given, yes.
Thank you.
Mayor Wheeler, Commissioners, thank you for hearing this. My name is Todd Struble, and I'm the Community Development Director at Apano. I also have the pleasure of serving on the Portland Housing Bond Oversight Committee. I was in front of you a few weeks ago, and I alluded to the Division Transit Project and the need for stability of small businesses. I mentioned that conversation was for a later date, and now I'm back. So, with regards to the Prosper Portland budget, the Federal Transit Administration recently recommended the Division Transit Project for funding. Construction is slated to begin later this year, and during the planning phase for this project, community partners and public agencies made a series of commitments to strengthen local communities and address involuntary displacement. To the city's credit, many of these commitments have been made. We've added nearly 300 units of affordable housing along the alignment, and we opened our Orchards of 82nd building recently on the corner of 82nd and Division. However, this project will have severe impacts on the local small businesses. These businesses along our division are the anchors of our community. They're culturally specific, and these are immigrant families, small business owners who've scrapped and taken out loans to pay to run their business and make a living. And now they're being threatened by the construction and development of this transit project. A commitment was made to fund technical assistance and a small business loan to fund those, to support those impacted so they would have the best chance to survive. Unfortunately, the current budget does not include those mitigation measures. Instead, the Prosper Portland budget includes items such as planning for the James Beard Public Market and planning for new urban renewal areas. Before we begin to plan for new developments, if we've really learned the lessons from past urban renewal and transportation projects, we would make the upfront investments in preventing displacement rather than trying to offer rights of return after the fact. We urge council to honor promises made and to invest in protecting our small business community. And I also want to, just while I'm here, I think we also have an ask around funding the hard-to-count communities with the census work. So an accurate account for the city of Portland is a statement that our communities count and matter. It provides data for how to direct much-needed social services, and it will help inform decision-making.
I'm sorry, the facilitator can't see, but your time's been up for about a minute. We want to be respectful of all the people.
Oh, I'm sorry, right in front of me. Okay, well, those are the two things that I wanted to talk about. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Wheeler, Commissioners, thank you. I appreciate the hard work you've done to put this together. My name is Kristen Gallagher. I'm the CEO of a small business in Portland called Edify, but tonight I'm here on behalf of Business for Better Portland and Accelerate Fund, which is an IBRN member, which is funded by Prosper Portland. I'm sorry? Oh, Inclusive Business Resource Network is IBRN. BBPDX has also submitted a letter to you on behalf of the Oregon Native American Chamber, the Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber, Portland Area Business Association, Asian Pacific American Chamber of Commerce, and the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Oregon. I'm here to advocate on behalf of all of these organizations that all support the budget recommendations of Prosper Portland. Many of the programs, including the Inclusive Business Resource Network and Portland Means Progress, are absolutely critical to taking steps toward equitable economic development in our city, which is something that has been sorely lacking for decades. Many of these organizations deliver technical assistance and support in a culturally responsive manner all across the city. And in order to continue this work, support from Prosper is critical. These programs reach thousands of business owners, mostly and especially people of color and women, in a city with a history of underfunding support for these entrepreneurs. There is no singular solution that works best for economic development, but all of our organizations, including others in the IBRN, are delivering a variety of support that our city needs to grow. We appreciate Prosper Portland's commitment to serving and supporting entrepreneurs of color, female and non-binary entrepreneurs, and businesses across the city. Thank you for taking time to understand these concerns.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners, for hearing us out today. I am here on behalf of the Portland Film Office. My name is Juliana Lukasic, and I'm a principal and director for a commercial production company called At Large Films. I'm also the founder of a nonprofit called 5 to 50, which is a workforce development nonprofit focused on supporting women, especially women of color, to find sustainable careers as creative leaders in the media industry. In October of 2018, City Council reaffirmed your commitment to the film industry in Portland, acknowledging the role you play in supporting local living wage jobs with benefits, providing millions of dollars in economic activity, and giving worldwide attention to our city. And I want to thank you all for that support. Did you know that Portland is now one of two major stop-motion animation hubs in the world, the other one being London? Also, because of our reputation as a film-friendly city in which the Portland Film Office is a key component, we attracted the show Shrill, which is a Hulu show. Shrill's impact on Portland has been significant. $11 million in spending in Portland alone, $6.5 million in labor costs, $4.5 million in goods and services, and placement of multitude of job shadows on sets. And the content is diverse and drives an equity and inclusion message. It is also coming back for season 2 with an increase of episode numbers and adding 30% to the benefits that Portland will see. Projects like Shrill come to Portland because we are considered film friendly. The Portland Film Office generates revenue from permits and fees. With a one-time budget request, it will enable the office to transition to a fee-supported business model where permits from film productions pay for the support they receive from the Portland Film Office. The potential for Portland, I'll go right to thanking you and asking you to support the Film Office. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Stacy Triplett here from Work Systems, Mayor Wheeler, and City Commissioners. I'm going to attempt to do this very quickly because I'd like to have time for our customers to speak. So I'd like to walk through employment services that are being offered by the Economic Opportunity Program as funded by Prosper Portland and its expansion to concentrate services for folks with housing instability, homelessness, as funded by the Joint Office. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip ahead to a roll call of the community providers who are providing those services as funded by Prosper Portland so that you get a sense of the network, and then I'd like to make sure that they have time. So Central City Concern, Constructing Hope, El Programa Hispano Católico, Home Forward, Human Solutions, Impact Northwest, ERCO, Latino Network, New Avenues for Youth, Oregon Tradeswomen, Portland Opportunities Industrialization Center, Portland Youth Builders, and Southeast Works for reentry and immigrants with professional credentials, and Urban League. So we have a mix of providers who are culturally specific as well as serving specific communities. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Hopefully I got a little bit of extra time so that you guys can come up.
I'm Victoria Liba, and I also work at Work Systems, and I'm going to just shorten up saying about the tremendous role that the job coaches, career coaches play working with the vulnerable population and bringing people here. They are supported by Work Systems and our workforce development system overall by the liaisons holding the best practices and challenges meetings and professional development sessions. And they will speak for themselves and their customers, sharing the amazing stories, how they changed their lives of many people with the support of Prosper Portland funding and city for many, many years. And just a quick personal disclosure, I've been with this program for many, many years, and I've seen the success, and thank you for continuous support. We're looking forward to change lives of many more people.
Thank you.
I'm Angelo Polverosa, and a year and a half ago, I was a participant and a consumer of EOP grants and funds through a program called Central City Concern. Today, I'm going as fast as I can. Today, I'm currently actually a career coach with that company of Central City Concern, and I have a customer here who I've had the privilege to help as well. I've had rental assistance. I've been offered numerous education programs that allows me to hold my position today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Jack Diltz. First of all, I want to thank you guys very much for the funding. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am today. Just give you a little bit of background. From 2009 until about 7 months ago, I lived on the street of Portland. From your funding, I was capable of finding a job. They were able to give me the means and the resources to be where I am today. They got me housing, they got me tools, they got me insurance for my vehicle. I now have a place to live. I have a car of my own. It has insurance. I make $26.44 an hour. and it's all because of EOP. I was living in those doorways of Portland, you know, and if it wasn't for funding like this, I would not be where I am today. And I want to thank you guys very much for that.
Thank you for your
Thank you for our time.
Yes. My name is Mulu Tarafa. I'm a WorkSource navigator. Out of this program, I got the privilege to work as a WorkSource navigator for the last 3 years. In the Cully and 42nd neighborhood, now expanding to the historic Park Roads area, connecting and working with people who does not have resources otherwise. I live and work with them, know exactly what businesses are looking for and what the residents are really lacking. Just connecting them with work resources available to them through the WorkSource systems, through local community schools and private agencies. I get the privilege to work through connecting and getting people jobs. For the last 2.5 years, there's about 500 people been touched, and about 200 people got jobs. I really get, again, the fact that really because of this program, I got to work with a lot of good people, with employers as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call the next 6 numbers. 1227010, 1227026, 1227011, 1227009, 1227027, and 1226982. If these people have left, I have 2 more I would like to call then. Yes. Yes. Let me go ahead and call these last 2 numbers then. 1226907 and 1226897. Okay, go ahead. We'll start here.
Philip?
You can start if you'd like.
Okay, my name is Jacob Smith, and I'm here to speak on Central City Concern in particular. A year and a half ago, I came to Portland and had no money, no home, and really no hope. And you know, with the funding that they have, they were able to get me off the streets, give me a place to live, and help me find a job. And that gave me so much motivation and excitement for the future. And I was blessed with a beautiful little baby boy. And you know, since then, like, they've helped me so much. Like, I have my own apartment today. Like, I have my own car today. I have a job that I go to every day, and I get to take care of this little guy. And you know, a year and a half ago, that was something that, you know, seemed so beyond the pale I couldn't even imagine. You know, it was hard for me to get out of my tent. And you know, I'm just super extremely grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tony Jordan. I am with a group called Portlanders for Parking Reform, and I'm here to speak about parking funding in the Prosper Portland budget. I watched the hearing this afternoon, and I heard that them mention in Old Town Chinatown that they were planning to come back with an additional 5-year plan that would double down on district parking and seismic retrofit funding. Seismic retrofit funding is a good idea. District parking is a money loser long term. I think that they had the graph showing high-performing and medium-performing assets. I think that they probably count their plans for district parking in Old Town Chinatown and probably at the ODOT blocks in Central East Side as high-performing assets. But I am very skeptical that those will be high-performing assets in the future, and they undermine our climate action goals and our transportation goals. If traffic is already congested as it is, adding more parking in the central city will not help with congestion, and it won't help us meet our other goals. So I would just ask you to be a bit, add some scrutiny into where those funds might be going to build new structured parking. And in the event that it is built, it should be convertible 100% to active uses in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Surya Joshi. I work as a career coach at Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization. I work with Economic Opportunity Program there. I was supposed to call some of my clients for testimony tonight, but most of them are fasting, and so I thought that I would represent my client or customers today and then talk about some of the stories. Economic Opportunity Program have been a blessing for most of the newly arrived immigrant and refugee community who I exclusively work with. There is a housing funding for people who are in training and then who are also looking for job. We have trained like more than 20 people as a CNA, more than 12 as a commercial drivers, and then they are all doing the training. They are when they become successful in their training, they also tend to invest in their community. Last year, this time, I was also working part-time with East Portland Community Organization, part of City of Portland. And then as a part of my organizing, what I found out was most of the people who went through my program at ERCO and who were more financially and economically stable were able to take part in the community building activities as well. So this is a long-term investment, and then I would want to request the city to keep on funding our Economic Opportunity Program so that we can provide more benefit to the community who actually need support from city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Philip Wolf. I'm an activist, particularly with police accountability. And before I have my testimony, I wanted to request 1 extra minute because of the interpretation process. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk about the budget cuts in regards to the police department. I've read articles, I've done my research, and let me back up a little bit. I've been living in Portland for 10 years now. I live downtown. I've seen many interactions with the police and other civilians, including interactions with myself. I've seen the entire process for many, many years. Now with the gang enforcement team, the GET, I encourage you to step back and really think about what that word means, gang. What does that mean? When I've looked it up, it means a number of people that assemble to do activities or an action together. That is the actual definition of gang. Now, the Proud Boys, they're a gang, but I would say they're a gang in red. That's how I would define them. The largest gang in America is the police. I call that the gang in blue. So now that I've already spoken to that, the police have arrested more than 50% of their arrests are people who are homeless. They target them. That is a concern. That is unacceptable. And the gang enforcement team has been focusing particularly on the population that is houseless. There's also a history with police violence using their firearms with people who are having a mental crisis. and the mayor is here. And he did say while he was running for office that he said, I will decriminalize and weaken the power of the police. But I don't see that change happening. He voted for JTTF to remain in place. I believe that should be dismantled. I believe that should no longer be here in Portland. And I think it's time that we take all the money that's being invested in the police force and give that back to the community. The budget cuts should be to the police force. They are a threat to the community. They are dangerous to us. So I'm here, my testimony is to say you need to cut funding to the police. Thank you.
Francis, I want to be clear that this is the Prosper Portland budget that we're hearing. And so if you are not here to testify at this point about Prosper Portland, this is not the right time to testify. There will be time to testify on police issues and other issues later.
Yes. Say it again later. So, yes, and we have one last one, and then we'll...
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Greetings.
My name is Emily Irwin, and I am an apprentice carpenter, Local 1503. I'm a apprentice general carpenter. I'm here on behalf of Oregon Tradeswomen. As a graduate of their pre-apprenticeship program, I just wanted to thank Mayor Wheeler and the City of Portland for supporting Economic Opportunity Program and funding programs that allow women of color to be on a construction site. I hope in the next 10 years that we get to see like more faces like my own. And before I was an Oregon Tradeswoman, what was I doing? I was working almost every day between 2 jobs, never went on vacation. I was still living paycheck to paycheck. I was barely scraping by for rent, and Oregon Tradeswomen provided me that opportunity to change that around. And I work a nice Monday through Friday schedule, get to go home and see my fish. And I'm able to support myself. I have security in my future. I have benefits. I have a pension. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to say that with my service industry job. So I just want to say thank you, and I hope you do continue to support that program and many programs like that as well.
We will, and I want to say this. It's a very, very difficult program, and I know you sacrificed a lot to get through it. So congratulations to you. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does that complete testimony on Prosper Portland?
Yes, it does, and I just wanted to be clear that that was the Prosper Oregon, and I'm going to turn it over to you, and then we'll move into the City of Portland.
Very good. That concludes the testimony for Prosper Portland's budget. The Prosper Portland Budget Committee is continued to May 22nd at 3 p.m. in Portland City Council chambers to take action to approve the Prosper Portland budget. This concludes the hearing on Prosper Portland's budget. We're now convening as the City of Portland Budget Committee. Please call the roll.
Mayor Wheeler.
Here.
Commissioner Fish.
Here.
Commissioner Fritz.
Here.
Commissioner Hardesty.
Here.
Commissioner Udaly.
Here.
By Oregon statute, I'm required to deliver my proposed budget message as part of tonight's hearing. However, my colleagues and I are here tonight primarily to hear from all of you. I'm thus only going to give the brief summary of my message to maximize the time for public comment. The full written message is available at the introductory table for reference and online at portlandoregon.gov/budget. While my colleagues and I share difficult budget decisions, I'm proud to submit my proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. This budget reflects my commitment, number 1, to housing and homelessness, number 2, to supporting equitable outcomes and fostering equitable prosperity, number 3, fiscal sustainability and intergenerational equity, number 4, providing clean and safe communities, and number 5, improving and streamlining city processes and constituent response. Under housing and homelessness, we continue to acknowledge that we are in a homelessness crisis. Addressing this crisis has consistently been my top priority, and my budget reflects this by allocating over $10 million in one-time and new ongoing resources towards housing and homeless efforts. Portland is experiencing unprecedented growth and economic prosperity. but we have to acknowledge that this prosperity has not been equally shared and too many people have been left behind. My budget prioritizes fostering equitable prosperity by investing $3.2 million in programs that aim to inject wealth into our community and provide opportunity for communities that have been left behind. Continuing the trajectory set by my previous proposed budgets and with the support of my colleagues on the City Council who've adopted and supported financial policies that bring us in alignment with best financial practices, my proposed budget makes critical investments in achieving fiscal sustainability. All of us should expect to live, work, and conduct our daily lives in a community that is both safe and clean. Nobody should feel threatened anywhere in our city, and nobody should be exposed to public health or environmental hazards that can be prevented. Everyone should have a place to go to the bathroom and to access basic hygiene needs. This budget ensures that Portland continues to strive to be the most livable city in America. Many of our systems and processes are not set up to respond to the public effectively. I'm particularly proud to include in my budget funding for a 311 system with a budget note that will achieve ongoing funding for the program. Additionally, my budget includes additional funding for increased public records support, making information more accessible and transparent to the public. In developing its requested budget for this fiscal year, the Parks Bureau discovered a significant budget shortfall. While in years past the Bureau was able to cover ongoing shortfalls with one-time funds that they could shift within their budget, this year, the difference between the ongoing allocation and the costs of maintaining service levels is just too significant to overcome without making significant structural changes. Consequently, while I did not ask Parks to make any additional reductions apart from the 1% Cal target adjustment directed by Council for all general fund bureaus, the Parks Bureau has shared in this budget process how it will make difficult but strategic changes to put the Bureau on more sustainable footing. I support the work that the Bureau is doing under the leadership of new Parks Director Adina Long and Commissioner Nick Fish, and I am confident that with the community they will chart a responsible and equitable course forward for the Bureau. My proposed budget fully funds two key Portland Parks and Recreation requests. First, the Bureau proposed a transition plan associated with a number of reductions it proposed to address a $6.3 million shortfall projected in 2019-2020. This transition plan will allow the Bureau to continue summer programs at large community centers, Hillside, Selwood, and Montevilla community centers, transition large community centers to a new operating model, extend operations at the Multnomah Arts Center and Columbia Pool, and seek new partnership opportunities at Multnomah Arts Center, Laurelhurst Dance Studio, and the Community Music Center. Second, the Bureau requested funds for operations and maintenance at a number of parks, including several new parks in East Portland. The proposed budget fully funds this request, ensuring that Portland's networks of parks will continue to be appropriately maintained in the years ahead. In conclusion, Portland has become a big city, and with this growth comes big city challenges. My budget focuses on preserving the core values that has made Portland a great city, preserving the clean and safe nature of our city, and prioritizing support for the most vulnerable in our community. I'm also making smart investments as we grow to ensure that prosperity is shared with those who've been left behind and to ensure that the prosperity and services we enjoy today are preserved for future generations. My proposed budget focuses our resources on the things that make a real difference in the lives of Portlanders. I look forward to this next year together, continuing to serve you and working together towards a compassionate, equitable, and prosperous future. That concludes my summary of my budget message. Francis, public testimony, it's all yours.
Excuse me, Mayor, before we go
Commissioner Hardesty.
Thank you.
Yeah, and actually, just, can I say one thing? There are printed copies.
I'm calling on Commissioner Hardesty first, Francis, then
Okay,
you.
that's what I was going to do next.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to make sure that the public understands the recommendations that I will be moving forward with the budget as well, because if they don't know, they can't testify on it this evening. My plan is to take no more than 4 minutes to actually lay out what my alternative proposal is, so that the public actually has an opportunity to weigh in. And first, let me just say that I greatly appreciate the work of all my city council colleagues, including the mayor. I know it's a very difficult process to put a budget together, and I'm thankful for some of the new investments that are being made, like the Portland Street Response. I think will be a game changer in our community to make sure that we're sending the right first responders to the right incidents at the right time. And I am very grateful that the mayor saw fit to fund that. Having said that, I think that we have an opportunity to slow down on where we're headed with parks. I think it's inappropriate that 54 new employees will lose their jobs. And these are employees that were called seasonal for a long time. They are now full-time employees with full benefits, and as you know, the last hired are always the first fired. So that means women, people of color are on the chopping block who have finally got their foot in the door to a good living wage family job. I think we can do better. I also think that a budget is a moral document. It actually represents who we really are, not who we say we are, but who we really are. And I think that in this budget, making some choices, for example, defunding some programs in police, and let me be clear, there is a role for police in our community, but here's the example of some of the things that I think we should not invest dollars into. For one, body cams. We are scheduled to have a pilot body cam program that would cost us about $1.6 million, and the bottom line is we can't afford it. We can't afford the pilot, and we certainly couldn't afford to implement body cams, especially when the only people with access to the data will be police. And if police have to review the camera footage before they write a written report when they were there, when they're the only ones that has access to it and the only ones that get to present it to the public, to me, that's not a public accountability system, that's a police giveaway system. One of the other things I want to be clear about is we recently, I guess not last year, but maybe the year before, the city approved a budget for unarmed law enforcement. I want to do away with that program for two reasons. One, we have not been effective in recruiting people. And two, if we put them in the same union with Portland police officers who are armed, then we will have just as much difficulty getting rid of bad unarmed cops as we have getting rid of bad cops who have guns. And so I think that is not an appropriate use. In addition, I think that there's a funding requirement for Fog Ferry passenger that they want to do a study to find out the feasibility. I say let's get private businesses who will benefit from a ferry to pay for the feasibility study. And last but not least, there's a James Beard Market, again, great idea, but let's get private business to actually invest in doing whatever research we need and not use public resources for that. And so so those are the funds that I would like to put back into the budget so that we invest in fully funding the census program, because if we actually lose and don't count 20 to 25% of people, we're talking about millions of dollars that we'll lose from federal appropriations. The other thing I want to make sure is that nobody in parks loses their job, and we take this year to identify funding mechanisms so that we're not doing a pay-to-play system, but we're actually funding the things that we say we value. And last but not least, I want to make sure that we, yes, have money to make sure that the public finance system for city elections is fully funded and operational. That's the key to our democracy. And last but not least, I want to make sure that we are being intentional about not displacing anyone in East Portland. So I'd want to fully fund the anti-displacement program. And I'd be happy to answer questions later. Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, City Council.
Francis. Francis, you're up.
Thank you. So we're ready for testimony. And again, just to make sure, we will actually this time start with people who require accommodations. And so that will be elders, people with young children, students, people with disabilities, people who will be using simultaneous interpretation, and any other community member who needs additional accommodation. This again is tickets. Numbers are drawn randomly. I'm going to call 6 numbers at a time, and those 6 people will be seated here, and then the following 6 will be on deck right in front. So I'll actually be calling 12 numbers. There'll be 2 minutes for testimony again. Our staff will hold up a sign. Kia will hold up a sign when 1 minute is passed. When 2 minutes have passed, they'll say time. I will give you a second to finish your sentence, and then I'll call time. The comments have been sorted into 6 topics. Public safety, parks, recreation, and culture, public utilities, housing and homeless, transportation and parking, and others who prefer not to disclose. So right now, let me call the first 12. So again, this is people who require accommodations, and the numbers are 1227014, 1227014, 1226899, 1226899, 1226900, 1226900, 1227015, 1227015, 1227021, 1227021, and 1226913. 1226913. If you could come up and have a seat here. Oh, great. Okay. So I've just been told no one requested accommodations. So these are the first 6.
Was anyone else confused about what this is? In the past, but at the last budget hearing, when you said that, people with children came up.
Right.
Is that what we're supposed to be doing right now?
You were supposed to put your ticket in that piece. So, okay, so these numbers are the first ones that are not accommodation. So, no, we actually had it accommodated, but let's just take the 6 of you who want to come up right now who needed accommodations. Let's go ahead and do that. Anyone else? Let me read the list again. Elders, people with young children, people with disabilities, people who will be using simultaneous interpretation, or any other community member who needs additional accommodation. We'll take the first 6.
Elders.
It may just be the 2 of you.
Is there confusion?
Yes.
What's the confusion? How many people have small children who want to testify? Hands up.
I think we have one more here.
All right.
Come on up. If you raise your hand, please. Did you raise your hand? Come on up. Oh, anyone else? Any small children with adults who want to testify?
Okay.
Okay, I think that's it. We can go ahead and start.
Hi, my name's Kelsey Owens, and I'm part of DSA, but I'm first and foremost part of the Sellwood community, and I'm here to try to change your mind about cutting it and ask that you get on board with Commissioner Hardesty's amendment. I specifically am hoping to gain the attention of the mayor, of Commissioner Fritz, and of Commissioner Udaley, because I understand there's a vote that's coming up and we're going to need a majority. First thing I want to say to the mayor is that we were counting on you being good to your word and what you said to us last year on August 13th, that you would not close the community center while you were in office, and you are planning to do that, sir. It's unacceptable. The other thing that I want to say is that this issue is absolutely the perfect example of intersectionality and about an issue that's downstream that greatly, greatly, greatly will affect things that are upstream that are things that are downstream. Opportunities for people in their communities to recreate and be together, for young people to have an opportunity to have someplace to meet inside and have a family instead of being attracted to things that would be on the street that would not be good for their health and their well-being, taking away a community center and then talking about wanting to continue funding something that just basically incarcerates people and disproportionately attacks Black communities makes no sense. I'm a mom of a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and when I moved to Sellwood, I had no idea what I was getting into. I never thought in my wildest dreams that they would take the heart out of our community, and that is what our community center is. It is the heart of our community. People have been telling me since I've been organizing that they do not know what they're going to do. We cannot afford the private centers. Not everybody over there is rich. I'm on OHP. I don't have $1,100 to afford preschool in the fall when you close my $200 option. What did you say? Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
My name is Duke. I am 8 years old. I go to the Stone Community Center for after school and for summer camp and on closed school days. I do judo, skateboarding, and piano at the Seward Community Center. Please do not close the Seward Community Center.
Hi, my name is Ryan Sotomayor. I work for Portland Parks and Recreation at Southwest Community Center, and I'm also a steward with Labor's Local 43, and on the executive board of Labor's Local 43. So I understand a budget. I understand that it's a difficult process, and I understand that there are a lot of different factors that really call on the money. So I appreciate that you have a difficult job. I really appreciate Commissioner Hardesty taking a strong look at the budget and seeing that there are ways forward for parks, both to be fully funded. I think it's very realistic to say that we need to come up with a better plan. We are going to leave so much money on the table if we fire 70 people. 70 people that generate revenue. My position generates revenue, it will be gone. Positions that create revenue, like preschool, are going to be gone.
Sorry, she's killing you.
And I really appreciate working for the city. I really appreciate working for Parks and Rec.
Oh, mercy.
She wants to go, so we're going to get ready to go. I think there's a way forward to both be fiscally responsible and to also, like so many people have passionately talked about, the heart of Portland. We have people moving here every day that the reason that they're moving here is because of Portland Parks, and Parks and Recreation are a big part of that. So I don't envy you, your position to have to come up and make difficult decisions, but I really do hope that you can see a way through to fully fund parks. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emily Goldenfield. I'm the co-chair of Portland DSA. I'm a mom of a preschooler at Sellwood Community Center and a kindergartner who goes to aftercare there. And to echo what Kelsey said, it is the heart of our neighborhood. It is the only affordable care option. We have a waiting list of up to 100 people trying to get into aftercare. It will create a child care desert in this city. That is what this will do, ripping away these services that people need. And Portland DSA stands behind Joanne Hardesty's amendment. We will fight to make this amendment happen. We then need to look at the budget and say, Mary King, an economist, just wrote a way that we can expand the Portland Clean Energy Fund to actually fund mental health services, to fully fund parks, to expand our preschools. This is the heart of communities. We should be expanding them. We should be funding them. They are what make working families be able to live in this city. So I'd like to ask, especially Commissioner Fish and Mayor Ted Wheeler, come visit our community center. See what we have going. We have judo classes. We have free tax advice. We have basketball classes, art classes, child care. I mean, it is the most lively, important place, and they all are. Hillside is too, and privatizing and closing them down is just the wrong course. It's not the moral decision, it's not the correct decision, and it's not necessary. Thank you.
I apologize for the confusion. Between each of these, we try to make it better, and we tried a new system, and we'll try it only better next time. So can I try calling these numbers again? They're the same ones. We'll just do it again. So if this is your number, as I call it, could you please come up? We're not waiting. We don't need to wait until all of them have been called. So 1226913. 6913 are the last four numbers. 1226900. 6900. 1227021. 7021. 1227015. 7015. 1227014. 7014. 1226899. 6899. And that should be the first six, and then the second six will wait in the chairs in the front. And these are 1227028, taking a chair in the front row, 7028. 1226908, 6908. 1226987, 6987. 1226895, 6895. 1226912, 6912. And last but not least, 1227022, 7022. 6913. 6913. And what's the other one? 6899. 6899. And I think we're all here, and please go ahead.
My name is Erin Lauer, and I live in North Portland. I'm here to represent North Portland and mostly the Columbia Pool, and I ask that you fully fund the Parks and Recs. I'm an architect and a citizen of Portland. I pay my taxes. I moved here 15 years ago because I have used the parks ever since. I used to be low income, and I've worked my way into having a full-time job and being here, and I always use the facilities. I'm here to represent my neighbors because many of them work in the evenings, and I saw all the lovely ladies sitting in front of me that use the pool all the time. So it's a wonderful place for community. It's a wonderful place to encourage healthy lifestyles. It's this beautiful building also in the middle of the beautiful Columbia Park, which is also a green corridor that would just be left abandoned and would probably never reopen and probably go through demolition because repairs would be more expensive than maintaining what's there. I recently lived in Buckman, and the Buckman pool closed, and my neighbors have been commuting long distances. That neighborhood community that was built and we met at this place now no longer happens. And those people are commuting really far east every morning. That's leading to more greenhouse gas emissions, more congestion, and less healthy lifestyles, more bad air quality. And I commute by bike 15 miles every day, and I want good air quality and less traffic congestion. It's a great place for people of all abilities and all ages to be able to recreate. And I also support Commissioner Hardesty's plan and ask that you guys visit the facility as well. It is always 100% in use. Classes going on all the time, swim teams going on, and just a wonderful facility. And I think that's probably all. It's a reason I moved here. The city keeps growing. The cost of living to live in Portland keeps increasing. Housing keeps increasing in prices. And so I think that we need to fund these facilities that are already in place, continue maintaining them, continue having something that is affordable that the community can keep tapping into and using. Thanks.
Ma'am, is it, I'm sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. Aaron? Mm-hmm. Aaron, thank you for being here. And just so we're clear, and I know there's a lot of controversy around the parks budget, the mayor, there's a lot of controversy around the parks budget, but the mayor's budget funds the pool for the next year. So we do annual budgeting.
For the next year.
And it is fully funded for the next year. And that's, so you're covered. And what we do commit to, you asked for me to visit and engage, we commit to do much more than that. We commit to engage the community on potentially having an aquatics facility at Charles Jordan and what that would mean without precondition. But we will engage you. It is funded, please, it is funded for a year in the mayor's budget. So I just want you to know that it's not proposed to be closed at the end of the summer. Thank you.
My name is Alyssa Bagan. I'm from Northeast Portland. I'm here with Care Not Cops. And I'm a member of Portland DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. And Erin, I just want to say that what you're talking about is care, right? When you have a thriving community, then you have a community that doesn't need to be constantly policed, okay? Okay, so that's why we say care, not cops. And I just want to say, please don't tell my friend to be quiet. I heard some people say shush to him. Please don't, like if you care, okay? Please be as loud as you want to be. Thank you, okay. So, has anyone here ever seen a sweep of a homeless encampment? Raise your hand if you've ever seen it with your own eyes. It is one of the most disgusting things that I have ever seen in my life, is watching someone who is barely surviving and only wants to sleep under a little bit of shelter. And you send in the police, and you arrest them, and you take away everything they have, and you throw it in the garbage. And 52% of the arrests that your police made last year were of those people. So I'm not going to sit here and give you a platitude like some of these people who are begging you for their basic needs. I am letting you know that I am not the only one who sees the inhumanity in a decision like that. Okay? The money that you want to take that track record and you want to expand. You want to give them more money. Thank you for having 52% of your arrests be people who are barely surviving, that could die any day. Some Portlanders die at the hands of the police.
Ma'am, your time is up.
And you want to give them more money. We're watching.
Good evening. My name is Jim Gradeville. I'm one of about 90, mostly senior participants in Mount Scott's boot camp fitness class taught by Jeff Bergman. We have about 20 of us that are here tonight. I also participate in the Parks and Recreation senior hiking group, and I went on one hike today. It was fantastic. As a city, Portland is stronger with healthy inhabitants. That strength manifests itself not just in the physical and emotional health of our citizens, but also on our sense of belonging to a community, and the fact that the city will have to spend less of its funds treating sick residents. In my experience, the community centers contribute mightily to the city's health. It's now been documented that the Portland's 2017-2018 general fund, which provides 93% of Parks and Recreation's funding, ended the year with a surplus of $60 million in revenues. And since 2013 and 2014, revenues have exceeded expenditures by an average of $54 million. Every year, the general fund budget is designed to be at zero by the year's end, but every year it ends up with a significant surplus. So funds are clearly available. So this is just about priorities. Let's right the ship with a long-term sustainable plan for Parks and Recreation. And we are willing to do our share as well. We took a survey of Mount Scott fitness participants and found that 62% would support an OPB-style sustaining member contribution of $5, $15 or more every month on top of our membership fees. And 71% support a 10% increase on membership fees and membership fees. Scholarships would need to be offered for those who couldn't afford it. Jeff Bergman, our recreational leader at Mount Scott, should not be let go. He's greatly increased the number of fitness participants, and he really epitomized the idea of what community is all about. So I'll close here. In summary, please don't cut the PPNR budget, don't eliminate the recreation staff positions, don't eliminate Jeff Bergman's position. I support Commissioner Hardesty's proposal. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nick. I'm a laborer with Labor's Local 483. I work at the Oregon Zoo, and I am a lifelong Portland resident. I'm born and raised in Northeast, where I spent a lot of time at the Matt Dishman Community Center. I learned to swim, learned to dance, and even to fight a little bit there. I'd like to take my time to read a statement from one of our workers in our union who works there. Her job's potentially on the line. She starts off describing her experience working there as one where a young woman of color sees someone who looks at her teaching dance and feels like she can ask the question, how do I get there when I grow up? Coordinators at Portland Parks and Community Centers. These are her words. Some of the jobs that are on the line, they are the ones helping the community connect to services. They are the professionals making sure instructors have the training and the knowledge to teach classes. They make sure equipment is safe. They make sure that barriers to participation are removed and overcome. Staffing is already slim, and with these cuts, what else will happen? Some people teach 16 classes a week, full classes. With the positions cut and the classes gone, over 200 people, kids and adults, will be impacted. And that is just one of the close to 70 jobs that are under threat from this budget proposal. This is not how we want our future, is it? For a lot of staff, their worst fear is that someone will get hurt. The experience that generations of Portlanders have depended on have had their lives changed from, they will be gone. And I might add, when these things are gone, there is immediately put into place a barrier to them returning in the future. That's how this works. So as a laborer, as a union member, I would like to wholeheartedly endorse Commissioner Hardesty's budget proposal. And thank you for your time.
My name is Finn Golden, and I'm a retired educational assistant who really is so thankful to the Parks and Recreation. I go hiking all the time with Senior Parks and Recreation. When I'm not hiking, I go to the dance classes. There's NIA, there's tap dancing, there's all kinds of things to do. And I just really appreciate everything of the Parks and Rec. And the Parks and Rec hiking program, I'm afraid, is in trouble because of this budget cut proposal. We have one paid worker for the hiking program and 10 volunteers who drive us and lead hikes. The person who is hired for this job is the most considerate, safety-minded. He takes these hikes ahead of time on his own time to be sure they're safe, and he always is sure we're safe, and they take us to many beautiful places, and I just don't want these programs cut. Thank you.
Hi, this is my first time here. I had a friend who encouraged me to come. This is my first time, so I really didn't know about a lot of this until just recently, and I'm really frustrated with the situations, the budget information. I really didn't know anything about it until I found out online, so it's frustrating. I feel like this is not open enough as well. And I'm hearing all of these problematic issues, people without homelessness, people who are day laborers, they have it tough, and we have it tough right now. I'm worried about my housing, and I'm a student at PSU full-time, and I can't find a job. I'm afraid I can't find a job right now that fits my schedule. And so I'm looking to, to this woman next to me. Of all the people that are working full-time, very few of them are deaf. So here in the Northwest, maybe 2 or 3% of the people here. And so people with disabilities are not the ones who are getting jobs. So I was born here, I was raised here, this is my community, and I feel like my community should also be concerned about taking care of me. And the community needs to be for the people 100%. I feel like this is really fascistic, the changes that you're making here and proposing. And I'm frustrated. Also, there are bigger communities like San Francisco, Seattle, Los Angeles. They have large deaf communities, but we're much smaller here. And so my sense of identity and belonging is gone. Many of you, I barely feel like I have any opportunities for work or community, and now the budget, the city has the authority to cut the budget that might be able to provide some of that community. But there's full budget for a bunch of other services like the police, but you're cutting community centers, and it just doesn't seem like a good idea. And that's my honest opinion. Like I said, this is my first time speaking in front of a big audience, and I'm really nervous. So I feel like maybe I'm all over the place, but I'm hoping you guys catch my point. And also build a deaf center, please. My people need a voice.
No.
If you could come up, your wheelchair's right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I don't think we've stated this before, but if you have something to hand to the commissioners and to the mayor, could you please give them to me and I will hand them out. Go ahead.
Testing.
Hello.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Wheeler and City Council members. I'm Gail Hofnagel, board member of SMILE and chair of the Friends of Selwood Community Center. I was deeply saddened to hear the mayor's proposed budget includes the closure of Selwood Community Center. This evening, I would like to make 4 points. First, if the center is closing, and if it is feasible, SMILE wants to continue offering quality programs at the center. Before we assume this responsibility, however, SMILE will need to create a comprehensive plan to ensure our success. How can this thoughtfully be finished in 3.5 months? We need more time to make a successful transition. Secondly, this budget process has caused panic, fear, and distress to many parents in our community. Our preschool signups, which would normally have started before now, usually have a waiting list. After-school programs are already completely full at our 2 neighborhood elementary schools with more than 70 kids on their waiting list. Parents chose Selwood Community Center as the best program for their children. Now parents will have to put their names on other neighborhood school waiting lists after those schools have already filled up. Our families literally have no other place to go. Next, recreation is an essential service for creating and maintaining a vibrant neighborhood. As our population grows, we will need more centers, not fewer, and those centers should be in neighborhoods. Thinking that the city's recreation needs can be met by having several mega centers misses the point and the purpose of community centers. Centers should serve the needs of many ages and interests and provide a chance to gain skills and socialize with neighbors to feel being a part of their community. Finally, what is the solution? It's clear that the recreation model in Portland is not working. The mock funeral today is not far off the point. Jobs and programs are at risk. The city recreation program is being dismembered 1 center at a time, or in this case, 3 centers at a time. Now is the time to form a park district. There are many successful program models for this. A park district has the best chance of saving recreation programs in Portland and creating a more vibrant city for all of us. Thank you.
Commissioner Fritz.
Could I just ask a question, Gail? I noticed you got the green gloves, and so do a lot of people. Would you like to tell us what the green gloves are?
Well, we know that we're not supposed to clap, and we know we're supposed to do this. So we thought this would make us a little more visible this year, and we're tired of wearing the green vest because if I'd known we were going to do this more, I wouldn't have gotten plastic vests because they're really hard to iron. So we came up with gloves.
Thank you very much.
I have to say the green gloves are they're very effective.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm here with Care Not Cops to ask that City Council oppose the $10 million increase to the Portland Police Bureau budget, disband the gang policing unit, and use those funds to meet people's needs for housing, health care, and community-based programs. Thank you, Joanne, for hearing our testimony at the last budget forum and proposing those amendments, especially the one to disband the gang policing unit of the Portland Police Bureau. One of the audits of the gang enforcement team last year clearly showed that they disproportionately targeted Black folks in their traffic stops. And gang designations and gang policing has historically been used to profile and punish Black, Brown, and immigrant communities. PPB's gang policing unit, now called the Gun Violence Reduction Team, must be disbanded. The $6 to $7 million per year that funds this team would be better invested in life-affirming resources for people and communities, like childcare and community centers. Similar to gang enforcement, the policing of gun ownership disproportionately targets, criminalizes, and imprisons Black people and people of color. If we are talking about gun violence, we also need to be clear about the fact that about 83% of all gun deaths are suicides. So the restructuring and renaming of the gang enforcement team, the Metro Gang Task Force, and the Gun Task Force to the Gun Violence Reduction Team is simply a cover for continuing the racist policing program and to continue to receive public funding under the guise of reducing gun violence. The approved amount, the adopted budget amount for the PPB last year was nearly $227 million, and over the course of the past year, that approved amount was surpassed by over $6 million. This year, the proposal is for $236 million, nearly $237 million, which is over $10 million more than last year's adopted budget. And we anticipate that the PPB will attempt a similar move this year after the budget is adopted, so it's even more imperative to oppose this proposed increase. The PPB receives the largest portion of the general fund, which is around 34%. If the budget is truly a moral document, the City of Portland must stop increasing funding for the white supremacy of policing. We must end funding for the violence against Black people, brown people, poor people, houseless people, and queer and trans people of color. Disband the gang policing unit, and instead invest these funds into community resources like so much of what has been mentioned here, and also invest as much into resourcing the lives and communities of people who are disproportionately impacted by the everyday violence of policing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for providing this. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for providing this format.
Thank you.
Okay. Over the past few years, the city, especially the Parks and Recreation Department, has been doing a much better job of addressing both diversity and equity in the hiring process. But much of the progress and investment, especially in the Parks and Recreation Department, will be abandoned or just cast aside if the cuts are made. The time, resources, and finances used in recruiting, interviewing, hiring, and training the staff, the development, implementation, and promotion of programs will be for naught if the proposed cuts are implemented. Our newly recruited Parks Director, Ms. Long, has come to Portland to an award-winning Parks and Recreation Department just in time to find out about the proposed cuts. Now, think about all the other employees that have made a commitment and have joined the ranks of the Park and Recreation Department over the last few years, only to have the rug pulled out from underneath them. I have always supported the Parks and Recreation bonds. I have a great love for Mount Scott, Westmoreland, Selwood, and many other parks. And I appreciate the fantastic staff and programs. As a Portlander, I should have been more aware of city budget issues. My bad. But I'm now paying more attention. But now that many of us are more aware there is a major problem in parks funding, we can all work together to do something about it. To me, the task force to investigate and possibly set the ball rolling for alternate forms of funding for parks really makes sense. So I'm asking you, Mr. Mayor, and all the city commissioners, please float the Parks and Recreation budget for another budget cycle, and I believe we will get another form of funding in place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Laurel, and I'm from Northeast Portland. I was not expecting to be here tonight because I thought I would have to be working, and I got an opportunity to come. So I'm here because I'm a full-time mom of 2 young kids, and I feel that our wonderful parks and community centers, along with our library systems, are one of the first interactions that our young people in Portland have with local government, and investing in our parks and community centers is investing in Portland's future civic engagement and having an active population in Portland. So please help parks make it through this year and fund their programs and help make up their funding problem. And please don't cut the community centers programs or staffing. We go to the Portland Parks preschool right now. They were able to get us in mid-year, which was wonderful. And it's one of the most diverse places that my son goes to, and he loves it there. And having an opportunity to have some downtime without my oldest gives me an opportunity to work on my business at home so that I can work with all of your teens in the afternoon. So these are vital programs, and they're affordable and accessible to everyone in Portland, unlike private programs. So it breaks my heart to hear that one of the ways that we're thinking about overcoming this budget shortfall is to create private partnerships, which to me sounds a lot like privatizing our public facilities. And I don't want to see unaffordable private programs taking over our public facilities, because once you go there, it's pretty hard to go back.
I'll be calling the next 6 for up here, and then the following that, the next 6 for right there. So first, 1226 946 6946. 1226-6970, 6970. 1226-901, 6901. 1226-933, 6933. 1226-936, 6936. Please come up when your number is called. No need to wait. 1226-931, 6931. And then I'll call the next ones. And the next numbers I call will be in the chairs in front. 1226-909, 6909. 1226-957, 6957. 1227-018, 7018. 1226-948, 6948. 1227-020, 7020. And 1226-896, 6896. And whenever you're ready, you may start. Sure, yeah. This is all I've got right now, so let's go ahead and I'll wait for the next ones.
Mayor Wheeler, members of the City Council. My name is Susan Egnor. I live in Southwest Portland on Hamilton Street. I belong to the Southwest Community Center. To exercise, I go every weekday to the Mount Scott Community Center. I go there and I pay in addition to do so, because Mount Scott's programs for seniors don't require breaking up my day. When I started at Mount Scott, the gym was so frigid in winter, we sometimes had to keep our coats on. It was so hot in summer, we often exercised outside on the uneven grass, dangerous for seniors. In 2014, the ballot included a new HVAC system for Mount Scott. I climbed up on a bench, and I spend a little time in parks, you see. And I climbed up on a bench at the gym and said, look, people, you want to get a HVAC system, you want to be warm, you want to be cool, vote for this bond. And we did, and so did a lot of other people. There are many more seniors now exercising at Mount Scott, not only because the temperatures are safer and more healthy, but also because the Parks Bureau has hired full-time, appropriately educated and inspiring trainers. The 70-plus positions proposed for elimination in this year's parks budget include the leader of that exercising community and several valuable staff members. I could only skim the 2017-2018 combined annual financial report. It's a weighty 300-something page document. It seemed the city ended up considerably in the black. I used the money.
Hi, my name is Holly. I'm a member at the Southwest Portland Community Center.
Can you pull back just a little bit? We can't hear you.
Is that, what do you mean?
Yeah, just, you were a little close, so it's muffled.
Okay, is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Why don't you start again?
My name is Holly. I'm a member at the Southwest Portland Community Center. I'm a single mom to a 3.5-year-old. I'm a registered nurse. We frequent the community center 3 to 4 times a week. It allows me to go there and do exercise classes with people of all ages, and I love that. She goes to a playroom for the hour and gets to play with all sorts of kids and She loves that, and she gets to socialize. It creates community for us, and that's really important to me because we live on a fairly busy street, and we don't have a neighborhood where we have neighbors that we exchange with. So this is my community, and I love the smiling faces that I see there every day, and taking these classes and indoor park and services away is heartbreaking. It's really important to us. And hearing of soft privatization is frightening, and I frankly don't want to see it go there.
My name is Rich Schuler. I'm an educator of 22 years. I work with adjudicated boys, kids that are truly homeless, gang members and ex-gang members. And I'm going to present our elected officials with a very simple equation, and it is this. You can educate or you can incarcerate, but you cannot have it both ways. You want to start taking these programs away from these kids, you want to start taking away their art classes and their football classes and their dance classes and their weight rooms, you want to take away their community, they're going to get community, and they're going to get it another way. You can either pay for them to get these services up front, or they're going to rip it from you by force when they get older, and they're going to come to me, and I'm going to do the best that I can. You can educate or incarcerate, but you cannot have it both ways. You pay for these kids now to get what they need when they're small. You don't take their community, or they're going to get it another way.
Hello, my name is Nancy Walsh, and I'm a resident in Selwood Moreland, and I'm a retired Portland Parks employee after 30 years. And I guess the takeaway for me is I didn't have a chance to write a speech, and I think I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that equity is very important, and I think we need to use bring back the old Park Bureau motto from when I started in 1973, and that's was on all of our pencils in the Park Bureau, and that's recreation for all. And I think that kind of means that everybody has a chance to have some activity that they're interested in. And if we want to build community and help race relations and cultural relations, you got to get people together in a non-threatening environment, having fun together.
So while the next people are coming up, I'll call the final six. 1226960, 6960, 1226938, 6938. These numbers are for the front row there. 1226940, 6940. 1226966, 6966. 1226945, 6945. And 1226906, 6906. So those are the final numbers.
Dear Mayor Wheeler and City Councilors, here are over 2,000 stories from Portlanders of all walks of life and incomes about why they value Portland Parks and Recreation. These folks are taking real time out of their days to express their support for these services that you and others have worked so hard to provide. This is about more than closing community centers. This is about what direction our city is going in. We want a future with healthy, educated people. Please do not cut programs, lease centers, and remove 70 frontline positions from these important social services. Every year, people are turned away from preschool, summer camps, and swimming lessons because they are at capacity. Please consider Commissioner Hardesty's proposal to continue funding for another year and come up with a better plan to meet the needs of all Portlanders. The demand is there. How can we find a way to increase accesses to services as Portland continues to grow? It's hard for me to believe that making these cuts will increase revenue or access for parks and people. Please listen to your community and vote accordingly. I know we can find creative solutions about these challenges. Tens of thousands of people have chosen to trust you, and please don't let us down. Thank you.
Dear Commissioners and Mayor, my name is Lindsay Ruoff, and I'm a Portland Parks and Rec employee. I've been working for Parks for 10 years as an instructor and a Portland Public Schools education assistant at one of PP&R's 11 Sun Community Schools, that's Schools Uniting Neighborhoods. And until last June, when I became the interim site manager at Grout Sun Community School. It's hard to state how much Sun means to me and how grateful I am to have been able to work at this school for the last decade, striving to make sure that our free and low-cost enrichment programming after school and in the summer is providing safe, supportive, recreational, and academic opportunities to anyone who finds themselves in our school community. And each school community is similar to, though often very different from the next. You can see that as you travel from school to school in Portland. Though they're all public, each school has access to different resources and is made up of families experiencing a different set of circumstances. It can be surprising to see how different any two nearby schools are, and yet one thing is fairly common. The schools are operating in perpetual scarcity, saved only occasionally by a school foundation if they're in a wealthier neighborhood. As a Parks employee working with Sun, I'm in an odd position to feel that scarcity, that continuous never enough, on the school district level and from the city. Community centers and schools are the front lines where city and school staff work tirelessly to make things more accessible for people experiencing the hardest with the least, and we do it as peers, as community. It feels nothing short of destructive to take away from communities that are not yet benefiting, will we ever, from this newly constructed and apparently thriving Portland. When will operating from scarcity no longer be the status quo? When will we prioritize our communities by telling them they're worth what it costs to fund their education and public spaces? When will the staff on the front lines making these connections, learning these names and stories, and doing emotional labor of all kinds every day not be treated as temporary or unnecessary? It will take creativity, innovation, and courage, and you must do it. If not now, then when? Though Portland Parks and Rec Sun sites are not slated to be directly underfunded by the proposed budget, this budget will have a hugely detrimental effect on Sun sites and the city's PP&R stated equity goals, as well as the remaining community centers that will have to shoulder the burden of loss and scarcity. Please show up for Parks and Rec. Thank you.
Lindsay, first of all, I just want to respond briefly, and you've said a lot of thoughtful things, which we'll think about. I want to just be very clear, though, when we prepared a budget proposal and had to make some really tough decisions, we decided there were programs that were so important to the community that we weren't going to cut them, even though it meant other. Please, let me just finish. We had to take some other cuts as a result, and what we did is we put some general fund money into them to make them stronger. And I just want you to know that the Sun School program is something we greatly value. That's why we walled it off from cuts. Adaptive and inclusive programs, which are at Mount Scott and which are critically important, which have been underfunded by the general fund, is now fully funded by the general fund. And senior recreation takes no cuts in this budget. So for people worried about those three programs and about the values in the budget, I'm not addressing the other cuts. I heard you loud and clear. But please, let me finish. I just want to be clear that those three programs were protected. Absolutely. And were given general fund money. And so I agree with you on Sun Schools.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I just want to say very briefly that the effect it's going to have on Sun Schools is that because of this large seniority bumping situation, potentially 4 of the 11 Sun School sites are going to lose their Sunside manager who has been working in that Sun School potentially for 10 years. Okay. And so it's going to have a serious effect on Sun Schools, even though I appreciate very much that you're funding Sun Schools fully.
Good. Thank you very much.
Mayor and Commissioners, with regards to Portland Parks and Recreation funding for the upcoming fiscal year, I want to say 6 things. First, I'm a frequent user of Mount Scott Community Center. I have a tremendous appreciation for the facility, for the physical fitness opportunities it presents, and for the warm, generous, and energetic staff. Number 2, Portland Parks and Recreation has been a jewel in Portland's crown for over a century, and it should be nurtured and strengthened rather than slowly starved. 3, the mission of Portland Parks and Recreation from its beginning has been, quote, to help Portlanders play, providing the safe places, facilities, and programs which promote physical, mental, and social activity. As we do this, there is and will be an increase in the wellness of our residents and in the livability of our city. 4, I support Commissioner Hardesty's proposal to maintain the same Portland Parks and Recreation budget level as in the current year. As the Commissioner recently said, it helps everyone to give Council another year to deeply evaluate Portland Parks and Recreation budget while keeping the places the community depends on open and staffed. 5, I am convinced that there are strategies available to fully fund Portland Parks and Recreation, and some of them have been proposed by Commissioner Hardesty, and some have been proposed by forensic financial analyst Peter Donahue. The Mayor and Council should use the upcoming fiscal year to examine and implement some or all of these proposals. And last, in 2011, the National Recreation and Parks Association awarded Portland with its gold medal for being the best managed park system in the nation. Let's commit to living up to that high standard.
Council, my name is John Gould. I live in Southwest. The most vivid and heartbreaking symbol of the crisis of homelessness in the city is human waste on our sidewalks. Please fund the mayor's pilot program in this regard, for Portland's sake.
Amen. Hi, I'm here tonight to thank the City Council for recognizing the need to fund increased access to attended outdoor bathrooms, showers, and hopefully eventually laundry for the folks living outside. Folks who are currently generally denied access to these critical life and community health enhancing services. Currently, the city officially has only 8 loos open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they are frequently unusable and closed. Everyone deserves to pee with dignity, safety, and without fear of being arrested because they have nowhere else but outside to relieve themselves. Attended bathrooms ensure safe, clean, working bathrooms all can access. They stopped a hepatitis outbreak in its tracks in San Diego. They reduced police calls in San Francisco by 37% in a certain block radius around them, and they additionally pay for themselves by reducing the high cost of handling bio-waste in the streets. Hygiene access centers run by attendants from the houseless community would additionally provide low-barrier jobs, opportunities to use street knowledge of how to de-escalate difficult situations, and honor the dignity and humanity of all of our residents. These programs would additionally improve civic engagement and connection between housed and unhoused neighbors, raising overall community mental health, well-being, cooperation, and understanding. Like community centers, having welcoming and attended hygiene access increases community connection, mutual support, and mental health. Building understanding and opportunities for housed and unhoused collaboration reduces strife, fear, and the impulse to call 911 every 15 minutes on unwanted people. If we do these things, we don't need the same amount of policing anymore. We need to fund the things that bring us together and that give us joy instead of the things that punish and hurt, including sweeps. Thank you, Alyssa, for mentioning that.
Thank you. And if I could just quickly respond to that, there is a $900,000 pilot program in the proposed
Yes.
budget to do exactly that.
That's exactly why I'm thanking you. I'm saying yes, please, and more of it.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to, his name's Laddie Reed, and he says, thank you for coming today and missing the Blazers game. His problem is the cops. He's been arrested a bunch of times because I think he's drunk just for being a human, back when he could walk. So we're asking that the gang task force be defunded, and there's plenty of money in the budget. It seems pretty clear to fund these programs. I understand that like you got a slosh general fund or whatever that you're allowed to touch, but like you should try to touch the other stuff too. He's sick of the Band-Aids saying one more year, we'll find a solution. The Portland Parks budget has never been sustainable in his eyes. Privatization is a great way to keep houseless people out of our showers. I know that I've seen houseless people walk into community centers and get free showers. They're part of our community too. The loos are disgusting. Yeah. Basically, Laddie sometimes pays $4.50 just to go use the shower because the lifts into the pool don't work for him. So we'll just like he'll walk around, just get a little bit of exercise. But yeah, I mean the programs aren't even accessible to him. But like if it became private, I don't think he would be welcome there at all. What? What about it? Do you ever go to the pool? What are you gonna do about it, Mayor?
So we're calling up our last six, and again, to give them time, I'm going to recommend we go back to the hands. So come on up, our final group here.
Okay, watch out. Can you go down to 2? Thank you.
Francis, how many more folks do we have signed up? Oh, great. Good, everybody's going to get to speak. Good, that's good news. It's good to see you again. Thank you.
Okay.
It's good to see you again. Thank you.
Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jamie Dosher, and I'm the Vice President of Labor's Local 483. And I'm also a rec coordinator in aquatics over at East Portland Community Center. So last time I talked about the equity and the equity among employment, but I'm here tonight to talk to you about how this plan has been hastily put together. A couple of things concern me that I want to bring to your attention. Right now, what's on the docket is discontinuing some lessons on Monday and Wednesday mornings for preschool. If we talk about the cost in staffing for an entire year at one pool, it will cost $900 in staffing. So you're saving $900 at the expense of $8,250 in revenue. That math doesn't make sense. Preschool, when you're closing Selwood and Hillside, you're closing or you're terminating 6 teachers and 11 different cohorts of preschool. But those 2 programs, or the preschool programs at those 2 centers, earn the highest revenue. If they stay open, the projection is that there's going to be $200,000 in net revenue for all preschool. If you close them, which is what the plan is, it will drop down to $25,000 in net revenue. So closing 2 sites, you are losing $175,000 net revenue. The 6 that are being terminated at those positions are the lowest, not the lowest earning, but the lowest cost. It's 23-hour-a-week employees, which is less in healthcare, less in their cost to pay them. It doesn't make sense. Fitness, you're getting rid of every single fitness rec leader, rec 1, and rec 2. These are people who are providing quality programming. I'm not qualified. I'm qualified to run a pool. I run a pool. I'm not qualified to come up with the newest, coolest things like Pound. That's a lot of money that people bring in, and you're getting rid of those programs. Please listen to Commissioner Hardesty and follow her plan and give us 1 more year to figure out better funding so we can continue these vital services to the city of Portland. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name's Sarah Iannarone. I'm the Land Use and Transportation Chair, actually, in the Mount Scott-Arleta neighborhood. Go Mount Scott, right? And you'll have received a letter from our neighborhood association talking to you about how important this community center is to our community. When it is the crown jewel not only of our neighborhood, but the entire what I would call crescent of disinvestment that includes Mount Scott-Arleta neighborhood, Foster Powell, Brentwood, Darlington, and Lentz neighborhoods. People from all around come there. During the winter, when we opened a temporary homeless shelter, the staff at that community center was instrumental. They know all of the people in our community, and they are the core. They raised my child for me. So I cannot compel you enough to reconsider how you're doing these staffing cuts and the effects that they're going to have on people in neighborhoods like me. I also want to congratulate you on the funding of the street response program. I think that's very good, and thank you very much, Mayor Wheeler, and thank you very much, Commissioner Hardesty, for your leadership on that. I support all of your amendments, and I appreciate especially your emphasis on anti-displacement as we continue to densify and grow. I know that that's going to be important, and I want us to continue to make investments there. I want to question the $1.5 million out of the transportation budget for derelict RV enforcement. I am against displacement without replacement for any person experiencing houselessness, and to spend $1.5 million in transportation money to essentially sweep people who have essentially a home is not a good use of our transportation dollars. And finally, I would like to question the false choices that we're being presented with here tonight. Oregon has the 3rd fastest number of millionaires after North and South Dakota. You have to assume a good number of those are in Portland. If we only had millionaires in Portland, if there were only 50 people as rich as you, Mayor Wheeler, and they tax themselves 10%, we could cover the entire park shortfall annually. That's 50 millionaires. The number of millionaires that we probably have is far, far higher. And so I want us to stop. Oh, well, let's tax the rich, please. Don't cut the parks.
How do you do? My name is Lee Williams. I am an Uber driver. I meet people in every corner of this city all day long. I drive over 200 miles a day. I talk to people all the time. There are so many people in this town who are hanging on by their fingernails. They're working 2 jobs themselves, and they have a spouse who's doing the same, and they can't afford daycare. They can't afford after-school care. Sometimes one spouse is working a job just to cover those costs. And in Selwood, we are blessed to have a place that is affordable and where we know everybody. And I can't explain to you how much pressure there is in that neighborhood. The Boys and Girls Clubs closed 2 years ago, got knocked down, and now there's a ticky-tacky apartment building there. And the school programs after school, the Dunaway All-Stars and the one that Llewellyn has, they're full instantly, within minutes of being opened. Selwood is a pressure valve that's taking some of that pressure off, and you can't close it. It's filling a need that the private sector either can't or won't be able to fill for them. You also need to realize that there are a lot of new citizens coming into this town. The urban density is getting greater and greater every day. I see it as a driver. Just in the last 4 years, the traffic has just gotten progressively worse. You all know that. Rush hour starts earlier and ends later, and it's not getting any better. There's so many people here. It's ridiculous. So how could you justify closing community centers when there's now more people to serve? It doesn't make sense. My other point would be, I need you to be citizens and stop being accountants, okay? The nice way to say that would be, well, not the nice way, is, collectively pull your heads out of your spreadsheets, because I need you to look at the fact that you're here as our proxy to be the citizens who control the city. And this is what we want. Well, not what you want. You seem to be the only people who want this. Everybody here clearly doesn't want it, and we're just a fraction of the people. We're just a fraction. Please do what we want, okay? Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to give testimony. My name is Dimitra Janakoulias, and I am a resident of the Lentz neighborhood and a proud member of the Mount Scott Community Center. We cannot overstate the value of the word community in community center at Mount Scott. In the last several weeks, our community has learned of the expert financial analysis commissioned by Parks and Recreations Union. My colleague Jim pointed out some figures, which I will repeat. The result of this analysis has revealed that general fund revenues over expenses have yielded an average $54 million surplus over the last 5 years. And also that unrestricted net assets in the Internal Services Fund average almost $90 million, also in the last 5 years. Meanwhile, we learned that general fund expenditures have been declining by as much as 6% per year. So we're confused. In light of these figures, we do not understand why the Bureau wishes to cut programs and especially to cut full-time, frontline, expert, dedicated staff who are the heart and soul and the lifeblood of our community centers. We have called, we have emailed, we have sent letters, we have offered many solutions, but we feel we've been kept in the dark. We feel that we've been shut out of conversations and decision-making processes. And Mayor Wheeler, I commend you for working on this issue, and you've talked about building this into next year's budget cycle to improve transparency and these processes. So thank you for that, because it is certainly needed. Because what happens when we don't see this transparency is that we are left to speculate and hypothesize ulterior motives, which does not build goodwill. Our quality of life, the health of our communities are about to be irrevocably diminished, and we feel betrayed by that. So cutting parks and recreation is part of Portland's equity crisis, but I want to mention that the manner in which this proposal has been pushed forward is also in violation of Parks and Rec's values and mission. The mission is not only to promote health and wellness.
Your time.
Okay, but it's also to partner with the community served. So please do that with us, work with us. Thank you.
All right, folks, we have one more person to testify. Let's let him finish. Let's let him finish. Let's hear him out.
All right. Let me begin, I guess, by saying my name's Tommy Thompson. I am a fitness recreation leader out at East Portland Community Center. I am here to talk to you not about budget and numbers, because those kind of things kind of go over my head as a personal trainer. I'm going to talk to you about a couple things that I do know about, and that's fitness and East Portland Community Center. So they're going to be making budget cuts to all of our community centers. They want to literally like cut the staffing in half. We're looking at these models that they're presenting to us. They called us all into a big room and just told us like, you're getting fired all at once. It's kind of embarrassing and kind of humiliating, but that's another thing. But they're looking at these models, and I mean, the managers, you're going to have managers on split shifts. That means 2 managers managing this huge building. If you've ever been out at East Portland Community Center, it's a very big building. These staffing models, it's going to be very unsafe. We already have issues with, we've had perverts in the locker rooms, like trying to, mess with children, and you want to cut the staffing and still run these programs. It's not going to be safe. Speaking to fitness, I mean, it's East Portland. It's a very diverse neighborhood. Statistically, there's a statistic that says like 50% of Black and Latino children born in the year 2000 are going to have type 2 diabetes. 50%. That's a statistic that's real. East Portland is a very diverse community. That's what I do there. I've created programs like Wellness Wednesday, where I do blood pressure checks every Wednesday for people. There's a lot of people with very high blood pressure in East Portland Community Center, I can tell you. I came from corporate fitness before, where I would check people's blood pressure all the time, no big deal. Constantly, I'm asking people to go to their doctor and to get on some meds or to get some, because their blood pressure is so high. I do a consult program called Smart Consults, where basically I help people get a month of programming. I get them introduced to exercise, or I get them back from injury. These are people that can't afford personal training, because guess what? People in East Portland can't afford personal training. I actually work on ASCSM, the American College of Sports Medicine. I help write their tests for the personal training certification and the group exercise certification. I'm not trying to brag, but if you get rid of me, if you fire me, you're not going to get talent in East Portland like me. I'm there because I want to help people and because I care. I'm not there to get rich. I'm there because I have a family there now, and I guess I'm here to give you guys some perspective real quick, because I didn't understand community until I started working there 2 years ago, and now I do. So I hope that maybe I can glean some perspective towards you guys, but community is very important, and I don't think you'll understand it until you have it, and until someone threatens to take it away from you.
That's it, Tommy!
Thank you so much. And you may step down. This concludes the testimony for tonight, and before we close, I just want to remind you that there are other testimony opportunities. There are comment cards. There's online testimony at portlandoregon.gov/CBO, and all testimony will be provided to the council offices. The mayor's budget comments are also online and available.
This concludes testimony for the City of Portland's budget. This meeting of the Budget Committee is continued to Tuesday, May 14th at 9:30 a.m. City Council Chambers, City Hall. This concludes the hearing on the City of Portland's budget. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.